In preparation for Constructive 2018, we sent out 5 questions to a select number of CEOs and senior managers in the construction sector and related industries. The questions we asked were: do you agree that New Zealand's economy has performed well over the past 12 months? Do you agree that New Zealand's economy will perform well over the next 12 months? How do you think the building and construction sector is currently performing? What is the most critical issue affecting the sector? What is the most important issue that will transform the sector? Let's have a look at our findings. Question 1. Do you agree that New Zealand's economy has performed well over the past 12 months? Most respondents agreed that the economy has performed well over the past 12 months. 6% were neutral, 6% somewhat disagreed, and 10% strongly disagreed. Let's hear what some of our well-known respondents had to say.
I think the economy has performed well, and to the best of my knowledge is still performing well.
I think when you think of our recovery, going back a few more years from the global financial crisis, New Zealand really has been a shining light.
There is low unemployment and the export sector is going pretty well.
We've of course got the transition between 2 governments, and I think there's some time period and settling period between the new government coming in and how they engage with business.
The New Zealand economy has done quite well, considering we've had a new government come in. Yeah, I think it's good.
Just focusing on our sector in construction, I mean, it's going gangbusters, rightly or wrongly.
Started with the Christchurch rebuild, also the Wellington earthquakes, plus the greater economic environment that we're operating in. It's an incredibly busy time, unprecedented in New Zealand's history, I think.
I think there are some real challenges though in how busy the construction sector is, which is having some knock-on impacts on overall affordability.
We've got to be careful as a nation of New Zealand not to leave people behind and to make sure that we bring them with us.
When teachers and police folk and nurses can't afford houses in Auckland, Auckland has a problem. We believe we're at that point at the moment, and that is one of the most critical sectors that we as a society have got to tackle.
Question 2. Do you agree that New Zealand's economy will perform well over the next 12 months? There has been a noticeable drop in confidence. The number of respondents who somewhat disagree quadrupled. The number of respondents who strongly agree is less than a quarter of what it was. The number of undecided or neutral responses has more than doubled. Let's go back to our industry members and see what insight they have here.
Look, I'd like to think that the economy will perform well over the next 12 months. There's some signs out there that it will, but you never know what's around the corner that could trip us up.
I think we're an attractive, stable economy, and I think a lot of people want to come here. How we deal with that and how we manage that population growth is a challenge that I don't think we're meeting.
There's certainly indicators that the greater economy is potentially softening a little bit. Business confidence is down, and we are feeling the effects of that a little bit.
I suspect that in the industry there is most probably some knowledge that the forward order books aren't looking quite as healthy.
I think one of the issues for the construction sector is that we are seeing house price inflation soften, which is good in terms of realistically those rates couldn't continue to keep going up the way they were. But it does mean in terms of managing cost on projects, there has been a period of time, I think, when the price inflation has been sufficient to cover cost inflation. That's not the case anymore, meaning that the margins get compressed. So cost control is even more important than ever before for the success of projects.
Question 3. How do you think the building and construction sector is currently performing? Over half think the sector is performing poorly or terribly. Just over a quarter think the sector is average in terms of performance. 1 in 5 thought it was good. No one thinks the sector is excellent. Let's see what some of our respondents think of that.
I think if you ask the average man in the street, he's not going to say very well, is he?
Currently, with the demise of 3 of our larger construction companies in the last few months, I don't think it's doing too well.
Well, that'll be right. I'm surprised that even 1 in 5 thought it was good.
My view is that the building sector is currently performing poorly, and I think the fundamental reason for that is that the greater building and design sector is actually operating a little bit beyond capacity.
I think there is too much work around. The sector is overheated, and there is a significant lack of skilled resource in the industry across all sections of the industry.
Unfortunately, our industry's bucking the trend with other industries that are getting cheaper and faster. We're getting slower and more expensive, and we really need to change that.
It's hard to argue with that much collective wisdom, and I think that that lays down the challenge to us all.
Question 4. What is the most critical issue affecting the sector? Lack of skills was regarded as the most critical issue affecting the sector right now, with risk allocation second and certainty of work third. The other category includes CEOs' poor decision-making, consultants, clarity from government, and quality of design documentation. Let's hear from our respondents.
I would say it's the skills shortage.
In my view, the most critical issue affecting the industry at present is the lack of skills at all levels.
I think the most critical issue is the supply of skilled human resource, and I think that is across the board.
A lot of people are going to say, it's contracts, or it's this or it's that, or whatever it might be, or good design, or balance sheets, or bonding, or retentions. I honestly think that our country has a real skills shortage in the construction industry, both resi and commercial, and I just can't see how we're dealing with it.
And that is manifesting itself in a lot of poor outcomes.
But what about risk allocation?
Yeah, look, risk is definitely something that, I suppose quite a few companies haven't actually realised what they've been signing themselves up to until it's actually come out and they've been challenged against it.
I see many cases where the client is trying to offload all the risks for which the contractor should not be responsible, and unfortunately the contractor tending to take those risks on when they can't manage them.
That's bullshit, quite frankly. It's all about shifting risk. And then when a contractor prices that in, the principal or whoever it may be, you have an argument with them or a discussion with them, and it ends up with both parties walking away from each other, and away they go again.
It's up to the contractor to determine whether or not they're prepared to accept those risks, and where the contractor does accept risks that they are unable to manage, they only have to look to themselves.
Where there is a sharing of risk, that can be reflected in cost as well, but it then tends to also impact on the behaviour of parties. If as the instructing party I share some of the design risk, I'm going to be more inclined to manage the implications of that design instruction on the cost, and the converse applies.
If we had good allocation of risk, I think we wouldn't have seen so many companies go belly up in the last few months, and we do need to get that across and put the risk where the risk needs to be, or be paid for taking that risk. So some changes definitely need to be made in that area.
Question 5. What is the most important issue that will transform the sector? Risk allocation was quite clearly seen as the most important issue that will transform the industry, with improved collaboration coming in second. Let's hear from our respondents one last time.
Yeah, look, we're starting to see a lot more collaboration in the industry, ECIs, the early contractor involvement, and we think they're critical to the success of delivery of projects. And we're working on a number of them ourselves now, and finding that the results are way outweighing the traditional tender process.
I don't think there's any one silver bullet that we can say is going to transform the sector. But I do think that we have an opportunity for a massive improvement in the way in which buildings are, one, designed and two, constructed, if we really embrace operating in a BIM environment.
We need to adopt partnership models, and a model that says I'm going to get the best out of this deal and I don't really mind if I don't have a supplier available for tomorrow. It is not a smart way of procuring anything.
What are we going to do? You know, we need to start some dialogue, we need to start some engagement, and we need to do it now.
So, there you have it. Hopefully that will give some good information and context for our panel discussion. I will hand you back over to Jahan. Good luck and have fun.